Welcome back to the Navy Sports Magazine. We're brought to you by the Navy Federal Credit Union. Time to shine a light on Navy women's golf with senior Eve Worden. And Eve, for you as the lone senior on your golf team, you know how much leadership is preached here at the Naval Academy. It's been taught to you over the last 4 years. But to be in that position of leadership, just what is that like right now for you as the one senior leader on your golf team?
It's been difficult being the only one, but I think it's been a good challenge. That one-on-one work with my coaches has definitely forced me to grow. But another thing about being the only firstie is it's been awesome because I've gotten a lot closer to my underclassmen rather than just being with my class. I get to be friends with everyone on the team.
You are obviously one of them at one point, so you can appreciate what they're going through on a day-to-day basis. How do you pick your spots where you're hey, maybe I do need to, help out here, and maybe I need to let them maybe play through something or work through something, because you've obviously done the same thing?
Mm-hmm. I would say I just kind of base it off of my personal experience, whereas I have a lot of understanding for the plebes and what they go through on a daily basis, especially because as a plebe I was just a mess. I had no idea on so many different things, and I try to help them out, but also understand that sometimes it is better just for them to work through something. So I just kind of use my own personal experience. I think the middle classes, the youngsters in the second class, they've kind of figured it out for the most part, but once again, I'll just use my personal experience and try and help them out if I can.
This place is very humbling, not only academically, not only militarily, but certainly being a Division I athlete. You play a sport that is incredibly humbling. You can play great golf, not win that day. You can play what you think is subpar golf, and somehow the scores work out. How have you, over the years, really grown, and what's been the key for you in your growth to compartmentalizing all of that, making the commandant's list, and obviously playing a Division I sport on top of it?
It's been difficult for sure. I've had my ups and downs with golf, and same with school. At least with my plebe year, school was really hot, really tough, and for me, it was just an adjustment period, but also I had to tell myself every day, and I think I've done this since plebe year, but just I have my own standards, and if I meet those, I'm happy. I know I'm different from everyone else at the academy, and what's really helped me is not comparing myself to these people. Even on the team, of course, my teammates push me and we're very competitive, but I still try not to compare myself to them. So I have my own set of standards, and I try and meet those. And I also reevaluate my standards. If they're not on par with the team's goals, I make sure they're similar.
I think you bring up a great point right there. The fact that, you hold yourself to a certain standard, is that what, at least trying to achieve every day, the goals that you set for yourself? It sounds simple. I know it's not, but what helps you develop those standards that you try to meet every day and put yourself in as good a position and get as close to excellence as you can?
I think my standards were first developed over plebe summer by my detailers. They set a very good standard, and they made sure that we met the standard of just being a good midshipman, and then would take it even further. And having that foundation has kind of it's seeped into other areas. I guess for golf, I have my own standard, but still that striving for greatness. The golf standards are kind of hard just because I've just been playing golf for so long. I don't really know when exactly those started. I would have to guess it's when I shoot a new personal best or a really good score, I know that I'm capable of that. And that kind of becomes a new standard. Like, I'm capable of doing this once. Why am I not capable of doing it every time?
Is that part of that humility though, as an athlete, where you go out there with the best intentions every single time, and again, this sport is there's such a finite difference in what can be a great shot, a good shot, and a bad shot. And I think that's what I appreciate the most about those like you who do this on a regular basis and do achieve, because to me, it can be the most finite detail, and that can be the difference between something great and then something that on the course, as you know, can almost be a disaster.
Hmm. I just take it one shot at a time and understand that I'm not going to hit every shot perfect, but I try to minimize the error, I guess, like from those shots. And
Mhm.
I mean, that happens during practice. So, like, just a constant practice and the discipline through practice minimizes that error. And so when I'm out playing, I understand that it'll happen. And I also know, like, I guess if it does happen, like, a thought to think about to try and minimize it even more. I mean,
And
golf is hard. You just have to take it one shot every time and not beat yourself up over the little things.
Eve, I can tell you, I've never seen a sport so humbling. I played a lot of different sports in my life. I even have a hole in one at the old configuration on the Naval Academy golf course. And I'm telling you, this sport is as humbling as it gets. For you, is it more the mental challenge, or is it the physical challenge? Because I'm sure there are some rounds where you can feel like, man, I'm really in a great rhythm. I've got a great feel for the clubs today. And then I'm sure some days you're sitting there just trying to find it and hoping that at some point in the round, you kind of latch onto it. Is that fair?
I would say so. I mean, obviously, we see both days where it's more like mental or more physical. Um, I I think the game is mostly mental, though. I guess, like, that's my biggest area. It's like I start a round off and either I start well or I don't start well. It's like how I think throughout that round. Like, say I started really well and I'm coming down to the final holes and I'm like, this could be my best round. It's more of a challenge for me to tell myself, be patient, like, don't think about outcome, just take it one shot at a time, like, focus on my process and just keep doing what I've been doing for like the past 15 holes and hope for the best, I guess, when I reach 18.
You had the chance to play growing up in a great area for golf, very competitive. You played with great high school teammates. Your dad obviously played golf at the collegiate level. Your sisters played it at the collegiate level. To be able to have those people to really share this with, develop the game with family, with friends, how much has that helped in your development through the years?
Oh, it's helped so much. I mean, even just with golf, like, I mean, there were days in high school or middle school, I was like, I don't want to go out. I don't want to practice. Like, why do I keep doing this? But then knowing that my older sister is going to do the same thing and that we can, like, create fun games, it was huge. And then especially in like the developmental years, like having my dad come out with my sister and I and teach us, that was huge for our relationship. Like, we're very close because of that. So it's been awesome as far as family.
When did you feel like this was a sport that, yeah, I could use this as a vehicle to really get a great education somewhere, but then obviously now you're at a school which provides one of the greatest educations that you can find?
I don't know if there was really like a defining moment or an exact time. I remember growing up, I did swim and golf, and at some point I made the decision to stop swim and really pursue golf. Um, I'm not really sure what went into that decision. Maybe I was better at golf, but glad it worked out. And I think, like, once I started really dedicating time to it, I was like, I should use this to my advantage. So, yeah.
How much how much did playing in an area like you did growing up, obviously out in Arizona, I mean, you're not one of, you're not one of 10 or 20 out there. You're one of thousands out there that can play this game at a high level. How much did that competition help you growing up, trying to refine your skills and more importantly, develop as a competitor in this game?
It definitely helped. Like having that competition, it was huge. Like the desire to win, but also knowing that I wasn't going to win unless I shot like a really good score. That was pretty exciting. There were, I guess, like growing up, there were always like a few people who I guess you could call them like world beaters or like just really good junior golfers. And so it was always fun to like go out to a tournament and be like, oh, today's the day. I'm going to focus on myself and I'm going to shoot a great round. And I bet I can beat this person. So, I mean, more or less, like not really thinking about those like really good players, but having that desire to be on the same level of them it was exciting for sure.
Why the Naval Academy?
I mean, there are a few reasons when, like, I guess in high school when I was looking at it, I have a long history of service in my family, but it wasn't very prevalent to me, or I wasn't really aware of it until I started looking at the academy. But like my grandpa, he was a third generation West Point graduate. And when I found out about that, I was like, that's pretty cool. Just like knowing that he went to a service academy and so did the two generations before him. In terms of like which academy, I chose Navy because it's the only academy with a women's golf program. So that was a big deciding factor. I definitely wanted to play golf in college, but also Annapolis, just like the culture of the academy, all the options that the academy gives to people for commissioning. It just seems like an awesome place, and I'm very thankful for my time that I've spent here, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Let's turn back the clock for a minute. You mentioned the detailers when you first arrived here. How important is it to not take that part of it and what they're doing personally? And now that you've grown through these 4 years, how different is that? When you look at the very beginning of this journey and then where it's now taken you.
Yeah, Leap Summer is funny looking back on it. I would say like for me going into Plebe Summer, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But like one of the skills, I would say it was a skill, like I didn't really take anything personally. Like they would yell at me and I would just like be like, okay, I'll do better. And I would kind of move on. Like I always tried really hard. I gave it my all. But I got yelled at a lot, but I just kind of kept going with it every day. But then seeing it from another side, because I detailed the past 2 summers, and I mean that was pretty interesting just because you see the other side, and also like being a detailer, it's not personal. It's just trying to get the plebes to work towards a mission. To also like, I mean, they're growing every day through plebe summer, so it's important not to take it personally, but plebe summer is great in terms of development and just like the teamwork that comes out of it.
Eve, great stuff. Best of luck to you and your teammates so the rest of the way as you guys chase a Patriot League championship coming up later on in the month. Appreciate the time today.
Thank you.